Inside PressBox is presented by Maryland Live Casino. Always live, always on. And welcome into another edition of Inside PressBox. Stan the Fan Charles alongside my co-host Gary Stein. Gary, this week's show is required viewing for Baltimore baseball fans.
You know, Stan, I couldn't have said it better myself. Here we go. Boys Latin infielder Matt Luderman was a major contributor for the MIAA B Conference champion Lakers. The all-conference selection stops by with more on the squad's title run this past year. Later, relive memorable moments from the Milt Pappas tribute and Evening for 32, remembering the Orioles' first best pitcher. Hear from Hall of Famers Brooks Robinson, Boog Powell, Ron Hansen, and more in a celebration of the late Orioles right-hander.
But first, it's a pleasure to welcome in the man who led Boys Latin baseball to its first championship since 2008. Joining us in the studio is Boys Latin baseball coach, fresh off the field, and that's Bill Greenwell. Bill, thank you very much for coming in, and I'm glad you look authentic, man.
Well, it's
You're a real baseball guy.
That's what baseball coaches do. They come off the field and come in and talk to guys like you.
Hey, tell us a little bit, this year's team, first championship team you've had over there at Boys Latin. You've been to the championship game 3 of the last 4 years. Yeah. What made this team so different and special?
Well, we had depth. We had 21 good players on our team, and I told the kids during the season that most of these guys could have started for any other team in our conference, but it's what made it so challenging for me to get the right guys out there, and they played well and got the job done.
Well, speaking of that depth, we were talking before the interview. You actually went 9 deep on your pitching staff, which some major league teams can't even do. But you guys did that. That's your hint. Is that unusual in high school baseball, and how great was it to have that this year?
Well, it's very unusual. And it was really tough for me to get everybody enough innings. We had really, really good pitchers that would come to me and say, hey, I need to pitch. And we just had so many of them that it was hard to get them all the right number of innings. We had 2 starters that pitched more than the others. We had Zach Grace, who was an all-conference player, and Justin Ward, who was 10-0 for us his junior year. And we had a lot of supporting guys, too.
Not to blanket everybody on a roster, but at the level you're coaching right now, what is their goal and ambition to do with baseball in their life?
I think most of them want to play college baseball. And a lot of people think that playing college baseball, that's an easy thing to do, but it's really, really tough. There aren't a lot of scholarships for baseball players in college, and only the best get a chance to play college baseball.
Bill, you've been coaching at Boys Latin for 6 years, but your career has spanned a lot longer than that. And you've been in baseball for a long time. The thought is today that a lot of kids are migrating away from baseball and going to other sports like soccer and lacrosse, et cetera. What are you seeing at the high school level from kids that are interested in baseball, and are the numbers dwindling at all?
Well, I think the interest is still there for the sincere, true baseball guys. I don't think the numbers are lower, but there are a lot of sports out there that compete with baseball. Boys Latin, they do have another spring sport at Boys Latin.
Sure.
Yeah, they sure do.
But we're not just a lacrosse school. We have a lot of good baseball players, too, and I get a lot of support from the administration, the athletic department, so I love it there.
I want to flip Gary's question on the side, on its side, and ask you if the Orioles' renaissance the past 5 years, where they've, after 14 years of pretty horrible play, they've become relevant again. Can you see more interest in the game, or is that a little too myopic?
You mean because of the Orioles' success?
Yeah.
I think that they go hand in hand in different areas. So, I mean, around here, the Orioles are successful, and I think it gets a lot more enthusiasm for the game in this area. I mean, the Orioles, you say they weren't that successful for a long time, but I think when Andy McPhail came here, he developed a plan, he had an idea, and pursued that, and I think that's been one of the reasons for them being successful, and then Duquette just took it over.
Now, you were a longtime owner of one of the places in Baltimore, one of the batting cage places. Which one was it again?
I owned a business called Grand Slam USA for 20 years, and I was in charge of all the training there. And I had a lot of great coaches with me. My first one was Gary Kendall, who was
the Bowie Bay Sox manager right now.
I did camps for a long time with Tippy Martinez, and I had Dave Boswell and Jerry Bark and lot of great guys.
The question I had for you was parents that involve themselves in coaching. What do you see there? Is most of it negative, or is there a positive aspect to parents that push their kids to play sports?
Well, it can be both. Parents are the toughest part of the job, really. The baseball part is easy. Some of the parents are a very, very positive influence on the kids, but then others just push them too much, and some kids at an early age, I think it turns them off and takes them away from the game.
Bill, we're about out of time, but regardless of that, you're still champions of the B Conference. Congratulations.
We are, and we'll be good next year,
Awesome.
too.
Thanks.
Great talking
Thanks for
to you.
coming in.
All right, thank you.
That's Bill Greenwell, head coach of Boys Latin Baseball. We'll take a timeout. After the break, we'll have Matt Luterman, Coach Greenwell's all-conference infielder, who's gearing up for his junior season. More Inside PressBox is straight ahead.
The new June issue of PressBox is out, featuring Towson Athletic Director Tim Leonard on the cover. You can pick it up at any of 60 participating Royal Farms. Remember, PressBox distribution is fueled by Royal Farms. Inside PressBox is presented by Maryland Live Casino. Always live, always on.